Hi there, today I'll be making a tutorial on how to add a brand new decorative item to Wurm Unlimited. I'll assume you have intellij IDEA installed. The community edition is free to use. I'll also assume you have the model already. Today I'll be modding in this cute elephant I found on Polyhaven. I have it exported as a texture and a collada file, which I then turned into a .1 file. If you don't know how to do this, I'll be linking a tutorial on that in the description. So let's start by creating a new project. Let's name it Elephant. You should make sure that Java and Gradle is selected here, and that you have 1.8 as your JDK. Let's have the sample code auto-generated for us. Now the project is going to be loaded up slowly. As you can see, this is the screen that greets us when the project loads up. This is the class file it auto-generated for us. Let's go ahead and delete it. So press delete, and then press delete on that too. Let's start by making sure our project is in Java 8, which you can do here in File, Project Structure. SDK should be 1.8 and the language level should be 8. So that's fine. And then we can start with the Gradle file. As you can see, it has created a few lines here itself, but we're gonna paste in a whole different one. I will link to what I just pasted in. It will be in the description. Let's press this little button here. This will load our libraries. So we have the mod launcher and we can access and use it. So let's go ahead and create our main class. I like to name my main class the same as the mod's name, and we should put it in our package so it's in a unique package. I like to put it in Wurm, the mod's name with small, and then the class name with capitalized letter. You can see it's in the Wurm elephant package as our class elephant. We can start by implementing the class Wurm server mod. As you can see, intellij already sees this and it's offering it up for us. We can then press tab and it's going to automatically import it and fill it out. We should also implement item templates created listener and also version. As you can see, intellij is already complaining with the red lines, so let's go ahead and see what it says. It says we need to implement methods, so let's do that. We want to implement on item templates created listener, and get version. In get version, we are just going to return version number 1. This will be useful if you ever publish your mod and someone sends you a log file relating to your mod, and then you can see which version they are using. And this on item templates created method will be called on the server when the server is starting, and you can create your items here. I like to create them in separate classes, so let's right click here and add the new class. Let's put it in Wurm elephant.items so that package, and then call it wooden elephant. Alright, and create a new method here. A static method is fine. You can name it anything, but I like to name it the same as the method that's going to call it. So let's call it from our main class wooden elephant dot item templates created. First of all, we should in the main class call mod items dot init. This is necessary so the mod loader knows you want to implement items and it can set it up for you. Alright, let's start making the item. We want to create an item template builder, so let's do that. We have to give it an identifier, so let's give it a unique identifier. I'm going to name it mod. This should be unique within your mod and even with other mods, so it's good if you put your name and then your mods before it. Then we can start giving it properties, so let's give it a name. Wooden elephant. This should not be capitalized, by the way. Give it a plural, so wooden elephants. And then give it a nice description. A wooden elephant. It is very cute. Then we should give it a material type, so builder.material. Materials.material. Wood birch is fine. And then let's give it a size with the dimensions. The first two numbers don't really matter. The third one is very important because this will determine how far your item is visible from. So you should set it to 50 or above, so it will be visible from farther than, let's say, 3 tiles, which is far too few. Alright, let's also give it a weight, which will say is 250 grams. You can give it whatever. Let's also give it a behavior type. For this we're going to just use behavior list.item behavior. Let's give it a few item types. So call item types, new short, and then we can go ahead and list however many we want. There are quite a few. Honestly, these are a mystery to me. It's not very well explained what they do, but you can infer from their name. So we probably want the one named item type decoration. And then probably per item type temper tile, yes. You can give it however many you want. It doesn't matter for now. And then lastly we'll give it a model name. This will be the name of its model. Let's leave it blank for now because we don't have that yet. And we're almost ready. Let's just go ahead and build it. So item template equals builder.build. As you can see, this can throw an IO exception, so we have to put it in a try catch block. And let's go ahead and log it. To log, we are gonna have to create a logger. So let's go to our main class and create a public static logger. Let's name it logger equals logger.getLogger elephant.class.getName. This should basically look the same for any mod, replacing this with the class's name, main class's name. And then we can go here and call elephant.logger.log level. Let's make sure to import it with tab. Level.severe. Since this is a severe exception, we are logging. Failed while creating item template for wooden elephant. The message doesn't need to be this long, but it doesn't hurt. And then pass our error. This will make sure to log it, and then it can be debugged. We are almost ready. We just need to create the model name. So let's go ahead and create a directory named pack. And then inside it a mappings.txt. This txt file should contain every model you want to add. So let's go ahead and add, and this should be unique. So let's name it model.mod.elephant.wooden elephant. We'll have to provide the path to it, so let's create that. Model/items. I'll create new directories here, and then copy the one file and the texture right there. So let's, relative to mappings.txt, it's in model items elephant.1. You don't have to put it in a subfolder, but I like to organize it. And then we can copy this and put it right here. We should create a properties file. So let's create a directory called mods and create a new file called elephant.properties. This will be used by the mod loader to load our class, so let's provide our class name, which should be the name of your main class, so elephant, but also the package it's in, so Wurm elephant. Make sure you spell this right, and then give it a class path. This will be the name of our jar, which should be the same name as your mod. And then we also have the shared class loader property. We could set this to true, but we don't need it for this mod, so let's leave it at false. And then we're going to use depend.requires serverpacks. Serverpacks will be responsible for delivering our models to the clients, and depend.requires make sure each serverpacks is loaded before our mod, so we can use it. And then we should create a serverpacks. This will be the name of the jar that's going to be delivered to the client, so let's call it elephantpack.jar. Gradle will be creating this from the files that we created here. So let's go ahead and go to Gradle. This task, pack, will be responsible for creating the pack. So let's give it a name, elephantpack. elephant.jar, the same name as we gave here. And this will be responsible for creating the whole zip that will create a nice publishable version of our mod. We can come here and set a few properties. So let's set group to org Wurm elephant. This doesn't really matter, but I just set it to the same as the main class is package. And the version number, which will give 1.0 as we gave here. And then we can press this little button here to reload these new properties we gave. And we should be ready. So let's come here on the right, press Gradle, open up tasks, other, and find dist, which is short for distribution. Double click that. As you can see, it's working. And it has created new files here. We can find an elephant 1.0 zip in distributions. Let's go ahead and open it in files. And as we can see, it's a zip file that has our mods folder with the properties file, an elephant folder with the code in it and the pack we created. So if all goes well, we should be able to put this mod on our server and use it. So let's try that. I'll just grab this and drag it into the main server folder. It has now extracted it. As you can see, it's right here, elephant, and elephant.properties. So let's run the server. We got an error. Work to the Wurm elephant not found. Oh, it seems I misspelled it, or I spelled it correctly. So I'm going to rename this to elephant.jar, rerun dist, and then we can go ahead and copy the files over again. It loaded nicely this time. As you can see right here, it has created an item template, and it is using this ID for it. We'll talk about that later. The server started up nicely, so let's launch our game. Alright, let's try to create our elephant. As you can see, it appeared in this list. And it doesn't work. It appears I have made yet another mistake. So you should always put a dot at the end of your model name, so it can append something at the end of it if it needs to. Let's recompile with dist and redo this whole thing. Alright, let's rejoin. And as you can see, we have our nice little elephant. It's not quite ready, apparently. Alright, I fixed it, I think. So I gave the texture the wrong name, but it should be fine now. And so it is. So that's basically it for adding just a decorative item. As you can see, if I bring up the crafting recipes and search for it, it's not there. We haven't created that yet. So let's do that. So let's make it craftable. We're going to need to make an advanced creation entry by calling creation_entry creator.create advanced entry. So this is going to need quite a few parameters. Let's start by which skill it requires, which in this case should be fine carpentry. Next up are the two items it should need to be created. So first we'll make a recipe that will be created by 2 planks and then 2 additional planks. Then we'll try to create another entry that will only require a log and a carpentry and a carving knife. So next up are the 2 starting items, which should be item list dot plank and then item list dot plank again. Let's bring this to a new line so it's shorter. Next up is the template ID of our new item, which I showed you in the server log. We can get it from our item template, but we can't reach it from here. As you can see, it's red, so we should bring it out. Let's make it null, and if it's not null, that means we have succeeded at creating the item template. So we should be able to use it now. Template.get template ID. Next up are destroy target, which we'll set to false because I'm not sure what that means. And then destroy both, I think, no use capacity. Again, not sure what that means. Then percentage lost. Percentage lost should be a float, so something ending in a big F, a number ending in a big F or small f. This, I assume, means how much the items should lose from their weight if you fail. Again, not sure. Let's set it to 0 in this case. Then whether the 2 items we used should be destroyed, which is true. Oh, actually I just realized destroy target means whether it should destroy the second one. And it should, but we're going to set destroy both, so that can remain false. Next up is create on ground, which we'll set to false because we don't want it to be created on the ground. This isn't a wagon or something. Custom cutoff chance. I'm not sure what that means, so let's leave it at 0. Then the minimum skill required to create this item. In this case we'll just set it to 0. F, I believe. No, it's a D. Small d. Alright. D for double, so we could just set it to 0.0 and then that's a double. Actually 0 is also fine, but whatever. Then which category it should belong to. Creation categories dot. You can choose from these. I think I'm going to choose decoration because, well, that seems befitting. And as you can see, it's no longer red. So we have done something right. By the way, if you come here, click on this and then press F4, you will be taken to a decompiled version of this class. So you can come here and press Ctrl F and find create advanced entry. And then you can find these are the two methods that you can call. So you can find the names of the variables here. So it's easier to know what you need to input. This F4 is very useful. So if you come here, item template builder, you can go look at all of this as well. Keep that in mind. Alright, so we have created our first entry, but it only takes the 2 planks that we have to use to initially create it. So let's give it 10 more planks, which we can do by calling AdvancedCreation.addRequirement, new creation requirement. The first argument will be the number of the creation requirement. So for the first one it's going to be 1, and then if we created more, then it should be 2, 3. We'll only create 1 for now. And then the second argument is what the requirement is, which is planks. Then how many planks we want to add. And finally, whether the planks should be consumed once we use it on the elephant, which is, of course, run that. And then let's try to create a second entry, creation entry, which will be when we carve it out of a log. So I've never done this. We're going to try SimpleCreationEntry elephant log creation equals creation entry creator dot create simple entry. Alright, let's search for this, create simple. I think we'll use the first one, so this one. First is primary skill, that should be the same. Skill list dot carpentry, fine. Next up is object source. The source object should be which one we select, and we want to select the carving knife. So item list dot carving knife carving. Alright. The next one is object target. That should be a log. Item list log. Yes. Then what object it should create, which is the same. Template got get template ID. Boolean deplete source. That's false, because we don't want to deplete the source, which is a carpentry knife. We only want to deplete carpentry knife. We only want to deplete the log. So let's set it true. Float a percentage lost. So this should mean how much is lost upon failure, I think. So let's set that to 10, I guess. We'll see. 10%. Deplete equally. That's false. A create on ground. Again, we don't want to create it on the ground. Creation category, that's the same. Decoration. Alright, and it seems we're done. Let's hope it works. You return a creation entry. Okay. I think that's it. So let's try the mod. Alright. Server's up. And let's try to create one. Create decoration wooden elephant. As you can see, it works. And it seems to have created an unfinished wooden elephant, which looks the same. Alright, we'll fix that later, I'm sure. Let's finish this. And it's ready. Alright, let's try out the other recipe, which was a log. Let's see. Create. I don't see a decoration. Oh, there it is. Wooden elephant. As you can see, it depleted 2.5 kilograms and an extra 10%, it seems. Let's try with a burst knife. Wait, I actually failed. Alright, never mind. So it seems to have depleted 2.5 to 250 grams, as you can see, when we failed, which is good. It also gave us that amount of food scrap, which I wasn't expecting, but well, fine. And that works too, of course. Let's see if we can set this unfinished item to look different. Okay, I think I have the solution. To have an unfinished version of your item, all you need to do is create a new entry, name the same as this, and then slap unfinished at the end. We can tab these in so they're in the same place. And then you have to provide a second model, of course, which I don't really have. So I'll just go ahead and copy the strange bone from the game and set it to that. Model items strange bone.bone, and let's run the mod. Alright, let's check it out. Let's create an unfinished one. Okay. Oh, we had one here. Anyway, as you can see, it's now a strange bone. You can read right there that it's named unfinished birchwood wooden elephant, and under there it's model mod unfinished birchwood. So it's unfinished. But we can of course finish it. Alright, we're finished. And then if I place it down, it's a cute little elephant now. We are good. Alright. Next up, we would like to change the icon of it, because that little man is not really representative of our item. So let's go ahead and do that. We can do this while building the item templates. So we can just go ahead and build our.icon. No. What's it called? Image number. And then icon constants dot. And as you can see, all of the icons are listed here. So not sure which one would be befitting. Let's make it a statuette. Yeah, it's fine for now. Right, you have to cast it to short. This is weird, it's logic, don't worry about it. And let's run the mod. Let's check it out. And as you can see, it now has that little statuette as an icon. Next up, we are going to, I think, make a new icon for it. That should be fun. So let's do that. To make a new icon, you're going to need to use my mod, which is Iconzz. Oops. There's a little explanation and an example mod for it, but we're just going to go ahead and ignore all of that and come here in Gradle. So to import it, we can use compile only and then the name of the thing we want to include. So com github Iconzz, and let's see, 0.1.3.1 should be fine. Okay. Yes. Alright. To do this, import something from GitHub, you need to make sure you have this in your repositories, this line, gitpack.io. This allows you to just import anything from GitHub, which is sort of dangerous, but it's fine. It's my mod, you can trust me. So let's import that. Let's press this button to reload Gradle. Okay, we should have that. And then we can go ahead and call. So here, where we set our icon number, let's just call Iconzz. We don't see it. Alright. But it's here. That's interesting. For some reason my intellij doesn't see that, but we can probably import it by hand. Import org Wurm Iconzz, alright. And then we can use Iconzz.getInstance.addIcon. This name, we should give the new icon a name. So let's say this should be unique among every mod that uses this. So mod.joda.elephant.wooden elephant, and then a path to the image file that we want to use as an icon. So let's create that. We need to make a file that's 32 by 32. Alright, that should be pretty. Let's export it as a PNG. In our mods folder, we should create an elephant. That's our mod. And then in there, create an Iconzz folder to keep everything organized, and just put that there. Okay. So in the elephant.java, we can now give a path to that wooden elephant. So as we know, it's in mods /elephant /icons /wooden elephant.png, and that's it, I believe. Oh no, no. For us to work with Iconzz, we need to make sure it loads it before us. Same way it loads serverpack. So let's do it. Write Iconzz right here, and now we're ready. So let's try them out. As you can see, this is our server root folder. So mods elephant. So it didn't work. My bad. We'll have to modify the Gradle a little. So into project.name, let's paste into. We don't need this. So now it should pack everything from Iconzz into Iconzz. Let's check it out. Elephant mods, elephant Iconzz, and it's there. Alternatively, we can do this. Put an extra star right there. And let's see, mods, elephant Iconzz. It's right here. So this is just simpler and better. Use this. Alright, we can now run the mod. Finally. Alright, let's see if that worked. As you can see, it has a nice pretty icon now. It looks like that. As you can see, the background is gray. That's my bad. I should have exported alpha channel ticket. So if I did that, it would be better. Let's try it out anyway. Let's check it out. As you can see, it's now transparent like all the others. So, cute little elephant. So that's it. It's very simple, really. Single line. Let's also make our mod a little configurable. That should be useful. So let's say we want to create an option to make crafting the elephant optional, or let's say if you want to craft like this or this. So if craft with planks and if craft with log. Alright, but where should we have that? I think right here would be great. So let's create a public boolean craft with log egyenlő true, public boolean what, craft with planks, yeah, equals true. Alright, but of course it can't reach this, so we have a few options because we can't just reach this. Because it's a non-static field, which means an instance of this class has this, but the whole class itself doesn't have it as a static variable. We can get around this by simply making it static, which means it's going to be there's going to be a single variable for this class that we can set anywhere inside this class, and since it's public we can reach it anywhere as well. Another way to do it is to leave it non-static and create a public private elephant instance, which will be an instance of our elephant class stored, which we should create when the mod loader calls this mod, so creates this mod. So in its constructor instance equals this, that's it, and then create a public static elephant get instance, which should return instance. Yes, you should be static. Yes. So this one's going to be static, but this won't. So this can be reached by other class, but this can't. you follow. And then we can do elephant.getInstance.craftWithLog, and now we can reach it without using a static variable for it. This is called a singleton method. It's somewhat nicer. You can do whatever you want, really. It doesn't really matter. Alright. We should make our mod configurable. That's an interface as well. And it's complaining again that we should implement configure. So let's do that. We get a nice properties file, which by default is going to be this file. But we want to create an elephant.config, and now in the mods directory. So now we're going to get this one. It's nicer to have a separate config file. It just is. Alright, and we can have our little configs here. So we want craft with planks and craft with log equals false equals false. If you want, let's also create another one. Craft how many planks equals, let's make it 4. Alright, and in here let's replace this resource number and then we can go ahead and call it here. And now it's configurable, but of course we still haven't actually parsed these properties that we got, so let's do that. Craft with planks should be equal to, let's name this p dot get property, and then the name of the property, which is craft with planks, and then the default value it should return if such is not present. So if someone deletes this, then it's going to return null, but if we set this to something, it will return that instead. So we should set it to string.value of craft with planks, which is going to be essentially this. And of course this get property only returns a string, it returns this. A string containing false. So we have to parse that, for which we can use boolean.parse boolean. Okay, parse boolean. Alright, and that should just return a boolean from the string that we give it. And for every type, every basic type, there's a parse function. So if you say integer.parse int, there's one. If you say double.parse double, it's right there. They're all present, so easy to use. So let's do them. How many planks equals integer.parseInt p.get property craft how many planks string.value of. As you can see, there's lots of overloads for this, so you can give it any number and it'll be fine. Let's just cheat by taking this, and that should be that. So we'll now see if this configuration worked. So after having copied it over, let's check it out. Elephant.properties, of course, and there's also a config now. Let's see. We want to set this to true, and let's have 3 planks as the additional ones. We don't need to craft without log, we don't like that. So save and ask. Let's run the server now. So let's check it out. I should be able to craft with a plank. and so I am. But I shouldn't be able to craft with a carving knife anymore. And indeed I am not. And if we check it out, I should need only 3 planks to finish this. Alright, I realized we could still do a little more. Let's try sharing the project on GitHub. So when you press this, it'll prompt you to log into GitHub, so you should do that. I'm already logged in, so I don't have to. You should name your repository Elephant in this case, because it should be just the name of your mod. I'm going to make this a private repo. I don't want this mod out. Oh no, it should be public. Yeah, sure. A mod adding a cute elephant. Check out the tutorial for it. I made it. It is very long. And that's pretty much it. You should share. It's going to prompt you with this nice window. And you should tell it which files to use. You want all of the source codes, of course. I think you want all of these. Pack mods, sure, Gradle, and .idea is also fine to include, I believe. You could write a commit message here, but it doesn't really matter. First commit. And it has created a git ignore, and it's asking whether we want to add it, sure. As you can see, this workspace.xml file is not included in the GitHub. It's yellow or whatever this color is. And also this build and the Gradle. These are listed in this git ignore file. So that's why they're not included, because these are just temporary folders we don't need, and this workspace.xml contains information specific to your computer and stuff, and it doesn't need to be on GitHub, so that's why it's automatically git ignored right here. Alright, and then we can go check it out actually. So we should be able to come right here, and it's listed right here. It doesn't have a readme file. Let's add the readme file. readme.md. Whenever you create a file now, it's going to ask whether it should be added to Git. Usually you want that, but maybe you don't. So elephant mod, a mod for Wurm Unlimited. Alright, and now we've created this file, but it's still not here, as you can see. It's not here, and it's still not showing the readme, because we haven't actually pushed it. So let's go here. On the left side there's commit, and we can choose which files to commit. We want the readme and whatever this is, sure. Let's give it a message, add readme file, press commit, and then you can go, it's still not here, but you can go ahead and push, git push. the readme file, push the one commit, and as you can see, it's right here. And now we're going to make a release, create a new release. So we'll just go ahead and make sure it's the dist is up to date. Create a new distribution. Choose a tag for it. This should be the version number. 8.0. Initial release of Elephant. A message describing the updates in this version. Good, better, mayo. You can preview this, alright, and then we can upload this zip file right here and publish our release. And as you can see, it's right here. Anyone can go ahead, download and use the mod. So I think that's finally a good 3 hours of fun. Bye!